Hello, everybody. Welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge with your latest transfer and football news as the Premier League descends into trouble. The roster of the Premier League is starting to erode. We are seeing more and more players going to Saudi Arabia. I didn't realise Milinkovic-Savic had gone there from Italy. Mitrovic might be going there now. Jordan Henderson, Fabinho. I mean, it's starting to be a topic of debate, isn't it? But what will that mean for Liverpool? Lavia, surely. Massive amounts of money as well. We'll get into that. Also want to talk about West Ham's frustration with Arsenal and Declan Rice and why that deal's not been done. We'll also touch on this very powerful interview from Dele Alli. Lots of things to pick out from the news today. But before we get into all of that, make sure you smash a like and subscribe as always. You're all welcome on That's Football. And a big shout out to today's sponsor, Surfshark. I'm sure you've heard of them before. Surfshark is a virtual private network, and one of the best things about Surfshark is its ability to protect your service, your data protection, your private messages, photos, videos, and other sensitive material. My personal favourite feature from Surfshark is its ability to change your location on location-specific streaming services such as Netflix, etc., from anywhere in the world. So if you're in New York and you want to log into your UK Netflix, you can change your location to London when you're in New York, etc. You can use it across as many devices as you like and at the same time, and it's available on all sorts of devices, whether it's Android, iOS, Amazon Fire. I think you get the picture. And because Surfshark are super nice, they're giving you, the That's Football viewer, 83% off and 3 months free when you use the code That's Football. That's right, they're not giving you 1, not 2, but 3 months free. Link is in the description as always. Give it a go. Virtual private network, Surfshark. I'm sure you'll be very impressed with it. Links in the chat or scan the QR code next to me. Talking about great offers, we've got that one from Surfshark. We've also got, well, we haven't got it. I mean, I wonder how much I am actually worth. I mean, if Jordan Henderson is worth £700,000 a week to Saudi Arabian football, I've got to be worth a tenner. You know, I've got to be worth something. Put me at right back in a pair of pink boots and I'll call everyone a prat. You'll get loads of memes. You know, Ronaldo skins me, prat, you know, be really good, coverage. But they don't need that. They are starting to build a league full of talent, you know, and genuine talent. Ruben Neves is there, as we know. Some Milinkovic-Savic is there. A few Chelsea players have gone. They're now looking at Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. And I suppose the observation is the Premier League in trouble? And what does this mean? And look, for me, I'm a Man United fan. But if Tonali goes to Newcastle, I'm excited because it's a top talent coming to the Premier League. So I can't be a hypocrite and say, well, I'm really looking forward, you know, I really like the Premier League and all the talent we've got, and then not be disappointed when I see the talent start to go. It's the circle of life. It's the circle of football. I've said this before. We can't be hypocrites. You know, we've got the richest league in the world and we attract the players. And then we moan when a richer league comes along and attracts players. You can now see what people in La Liga and Italian football have been feeling the last few years. We can't be hypocrites, but it doesn't feel very nice, does it? You know, Mitrovic, whether he stays at Fulham or goes, that's a loss to the Premier League. And, Ruben Neves from Wolves to the Saudi Arabian football, that's a loss. There's different levels to this game, of course, but it is a loss, and the Premier League roster is starting to get hit, and I think it will continue to get hit. And this could be the start of the avalanche. It could suddenly stop. But when you're paying Jordan Henderson £700,000 a week, £700,000 a week, United fans would say, you know, giving Rashford 350 grand a week is ridiculous. But you've got Jordan Henderson being offered £700,000 a week. You've got a Saudi Arabian team offering Liverpool £40 million for Fabinho. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And obviously the benefits for Liverpool are that you can offload Henderson and Fabinho and bring in Lavia with the money. You know, there are benefits there. But it's the misbalance, really. It's the Premier League pays ridiculous money and then Saudi Arabia takes it to a completely different level. But it's the same game. So you've got this money washing around, which, you know, we're actually in a position where Premier League clubs who have been able to bully La Liga clubs and everybody else are now in a position where they're going to be bullied themselves. Because suddenly their 100 grand, 200 grand a week contracts look absolutely pitiful compared to what Saudi Arabian football can offer. I'm on the fence on this one, and I'm very rarely on the fence. I saw Jamie Carragher saying, well, you know, you can't knock these players for going. I'm sure Jordan Henderson will get some criticism because he's been very proactive in relation to, LGBTQ community, and obviously Saudi Arabia doesn't have great records in relation to that. But money talks, Jamie. And I think he knows that, and we all know that. And we're not Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson can do what he wants to do. I think that where the game's going to go, I find really interesting. I've observed what happened with golf. There was a breakaway league funded by, I think, Saudi Arabia, and then they ended up buying the PGA. Is this breakaway league actually about, this is what we can do to football, we don't want to do it, let us buy UEFA or something like that? I don't know. I don't know where it goes. I can't see football becoming a huge entity in Saudi Arabia, because ultimately I can't see huge swathes of fans travelling there. So it'd be very much a Saudi Arabian league. But I can see footballers going there to earn ridiculous money in the short careers they've got. I don't think you're going to stop that. So I don't know. On a footballing level, and forgetting the money, the Premier League and the UEFA Champions League is a loser because it's losing players over there. I'm not convinced the quality of football over there is going to be able to compete. So football's the loser in a way, because the quality in the European leagues dilutes slightly, and the quality that Saudi Arabian league is offering isn't going to be anywhere near as good. But the winners will be the people who are making money from it, and I'm not sure you can knock them for it really, unless you've walked in those shoes. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out. From a Liverpool Henderson point of view, 700 grand a week is ridiculous. Fabinho for 40 million pounds is ridiculous. But I think it gives them an opportunity to move for Lavia now. And you look at clubs who aren't selling players to Saudi Arabia. Chelsea have done it. Liverpool are doing it now. It's a very good way to boost your transfer coffers for this season. And if you're Man United, maybe Spurs, Arsenal, Newcastle, you might want to look at that, because it's a great way around financial fair play to sell a player legitimately for way more than they're worth. I mean, it's a great way around financial fair play. So, maybe other clubs should be doing it. Declan Rice, Arsenal, apparently West Ham are getting a bit frustrated. I don't know what the hold-up is. Effectively, international players aren't back on loan until Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if that Declan Rice official deal drops tomorrow or Saturday. But it does seem to have been elongated a little bit. Maybe it impacts on West Ham and their ability to spend. But from an Arsenal point of view, he was never going to be in training until Saturday anyway. So I don't think it matters massively there. We'll have to wait and see. And then we've got this Dele Alli interview, which I think is just so interesting. I sometimes take a breath on this and take a moment, because we live in such a flip-flop society. We've had a BBC newsreader in the UK who nobody really knows what's happened, but has been completely and utterly cancelled over the last few days, because that's the vicious nature of the pack mentality that we seem to have in this country, where, we build people up and then we tear them down. And people will jump on a rumour and destroy people. And this Dele Alli story comes out, and, for the last few years, people have been saying Dele Alli shit. He's wasted his talent. It's ridiculous. And then we've got this story that, he's got this backstory of trauma, which obviously has played on his mental health. And now suddenly everybody's saying, oh, Dele Alli's great because he's had a traumatic life. And it's true. But it's also true he's been shit the last few years. But people would say, you can't say that anymore. But you can. You can. There's context, and it's a really interesting interview, but do Everton want Dele Alli to play as their number 10 next season? Do Spurs? Do Man City? I don't want him at Man United. I don't think he's good enough. That's a footballing reason. Dele Alli has been shit the last few years. There's probably a very good reason for it. Context is key. We've all got to be better. But I don't want to watch a sport. I don't want to watch football and not be able to say they're crap and they're not good enough to play for my team. I don't want to go to a comedian and have to laugh at their bad jokes just because they've had a bad day. Ultimately, it's a competitive sport, and I think it's about the context. I think it's a very interesting story. For me, the takeaway is I don't think football clubs do enough for players. I've seen it at Man United. I'm sure you've seen it at your clubs. You spend ridiculous amounts of money and ridiculous wages on players, but who does any background checks on the player themselves? You buy a player for a lot of money who scored some good goals and looks like a good player, and then they don't perform. Who's responsible for that? Who's dealing with the mentality of these players? And I tell you what, and nobody will say it. The player comes out in their mid-20s and says, I've been rubbish for the last few years because I've been battling mental health problems. Who was giving him support over the last 5 years? Was it possible to give him support over the last 5 years? Who tells these players no anyway? You're giving 16-year-olds Porsches and 40 grand a week because they're talented and you want them at your club. You can't have it both ways. Is Dele Alli a victim of what we've created, of greed and, you can do what you like mentality? Because ultimately, if I'm a 16-year-old and Man United want me and Arsenal want me and Man City want me, I'm going to get a Porsche. My parents are going to get a nice house and I'm going to get good money. But you know what? My form's a bit inconsistent because I don't have the maturity to deal with that level of money. And I've got nobody around me telling me I'm wrong because everyone's telling me I'm great. And this money's great and I can do what I want. And you know what? I become complacent. And then, you know what? I've got a bit of a backstory as well. So I'm quite mentally scarred, but I'm still surrounded by people chucking money at me and telling me I'm great. It's all right to say that somebody should have done something, and I think they should have done something, but would anybody do anything? And would that person listen when they're so rich and everyone's telling them so great? We create these problems because football is so awash with money and greed that how do you even deal with these deeper seated problems that players might have when they're surrounded by yes men telling them they're great? Surely the only way it comes out is in an interview like that, where they have to hit rock bottom, where the game gives up on them, and then they go, well, no one's telling me I'm great anymore. I'm shit now, and this is the reason I'm shit. I don't know, I think it's an interesting debate. I'm really interested in this side of things, psychology and, the damage that football does to these young players. I mean, imagine if Dele Alli had just kept playing really, really well. Would he have done that interview? If he's still playing for England, if he's still scoring goals, would he do that interview? No. Why would he do it? Because everything's going well. But he's still the same guy with the same problems. You still need to find them. We're brilliant at talking about these things when it's, when people hit rock bottom. But we need to be finding out about these things. There needs to be more done. And look, people might say, well, it's very hard when a player's, on top of the world and that you bring them in and they go, there's nothing I want to talk about. But we've got to find ways to do it because ultimately football can't lose the ability for pundits and fans to say they're really performing badly, they should be sold, and then they hit rock bottom and they go, well, I was performing badly because of I've been having all this trauma, and then people feel guilty for saying they were played badly. The footballer and the individual. The fan is there to critique the footballer. The club is there to protect the footballer and their mental health, and I think we must do better at that. But as I say, when you're chucking money at these kids and they're not emotionally ready for it, and then they might have some emotional baggage as well, and everyone's telling them how great they are, how would you ever get that story out of Dele Alli unless he'd hit rock bottom? And that's the failure. Why didn't anybody get that story out of him years ago? Because when everything's going well, everything's fine. And then years after, when it's gone wrong, we all find out what the issue is, and everyone's made to feel guilty about that, when actually he's been let down by people around him over the years who haven't been there for him for a problem that's clearly been around for a long time as well. And you think back of the All or Nothing series on Spurs and Mourinho pulling him in the office, and it comes across as a guy that's just a bit arrogant and whatever. I mean, is that not a red flag that there might be something there to delve into? It's taken all this time. It's really interesting, and ultimately throwing money at young people who are talented at football is always going to cause issues, because football's one thing, what's going on up here. Thanks everyone for watching. Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Some big debate points today, very serious ones. One more serious than the other. The Dele Alli story is really interesting and really serious. And then football in general, money again, but it's Saudi Arabia, and what impact's that going to have? Get your comments in below. I think they'll be really interesting. Don't forget, we're sponsored by Surfshark. Links in the description. Give it a go. 3 months free. Scan the QR code as well. We'll speak to you on the next one. Thanks everyone for all your support. Get your comments in below. They're all welcome.